fired up. Big board ready, phones all lit. Miami mind on that perfect fit. Pick by pick, we're cutting through the smoke. We're talking future with every quote. Bobby bringing that bold hot take. Josh with the stats to keep it straight. Coach breaking down every twist and turn. Chalk on the board while the cameras burn. On the clock, let the war room rock. Hey, Bobby, Josh, and Coach where the fans flock. From the first big call to the final spot. On the clock, fans talk, Dolphins draft. Fans talk, Dolphins draft. Can't stop, oh, can't stop. Trade up, trade back, what's the move? Who's that dog that's got something to prove? Sleeper in the third, steal in the late. Every single name could change our fate. From the podium buzz to the fan base roar. We're riding every pick like it's
with the 11th pick, the Miami Dolphins select.
And welcome to the premiere episode of On the Clock, the Miami Dolphins Draft Show here on FTSN. I'm Bobby Finstock, joined by Josh Wingate and Coach Vogel. Fellas, the season is over, but officially we are on the clock. The Dolphins are on the clock. Josh, starting with you, how are you, brother?
Doing great. How nervous were you when the intro played? Because I know you put a lot of work into that. Were you nervous at all?
A little bit.
Yeah. It's great. It was great.
That was a banger, dude.
Yeah.
Put that on Spotify. That was great.
Coach, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm great. It's the off season officially for the Dolphins, and let's rock and roll. This is what we do, baby. This is what we look forward to every year. And the scouting process is, as you know, is my favorite process. I love watching film and going back and seeing, what we see, what we don't see, what we see differently than the experts. I'm ready to roll, man. I'm ready to get going.
Some people may ask, how the heck are you guys going live right away? How are you doing this show? The season just ended. Give it some time. Well, that's what honestly, we've been at work on this for a while now, watching some film and watching a lot of film, but also now rewatching film because that's what we do. Josh actually put a lot of good stuff together with the new templates for the scouting, and I really enjoyed it. A lot of the new kind of check boxes, what we're looking for, pre-snap control, control the offense, especially in regard to the quarterback. So a lot of cool stuff. Josh, just to ask you, man, as we get rolling into this next offseason, this next draft season, with the work that you put in for On the Clock OTC, man, how excited are you for this offseason? Obviously, your wife's a Dolphins fan. You're a Cowboys fan, outside looking in. But, man, you've seen what the Dolphins have done this season. How excited are you for this draft season with what could be going down the pipeline for the Dolphins?
Anytime you're, like, in a rebuilding, like, that's my thing, rebuilding. Like, I want to build a team up. So anytime you can do that and you have the possibility of – I always – go back to, I don't know if anyone was ever on Football's Future, but they used to do these forum-wide mock drafts. And I think it was the Matt Ryan, Jake Long draft. And I was a part of that forum for the Dolphins. And I was like, what player do we take? This is going to be pivotal for the changing of the team. And it was before the actual draft. I went Jake Long because you need your left tackle before you take your quarterback.
100%.
But I'm just, whenever we're in this phase, no matter what team it is, I want to see what I can do to build that team. Yeah. And I think that's kind of where we are today with the Dolphins of not a reposition, a rebuild. And I'm excited for it, honestly. I think it's going to be fun.
Coach, how about yourself, my man? I know you've been busy coaching, hence the name Coach, but also watching some film, watching the Dolphins, watching some college football, because you've been throwing names out there too. You're like, hey, what about this guy? Have you guys seen this guy? We know we're going to get into it, but we know we got a new general manager. It's not Chris Greer running the ship in Miami anymore. We know that two of the top player personnel guys are out for Miami. More than likely, Coach McDaniel is returning. That's what all signs are pointing to.
Right.
We all have our feelings on that. We'll discuss it. But we know for sure we got a new guy calling the shots eventually for general manager, and then eventually a new quarterback. McDaniel saying today that we will have a quarterback competition going into next season.
Yeah.
How does that change this draft process for you? How excited are you to get into this? And like, do you have some names in your head that you're like, I definitely want to look into this guy because I would love to see him in a Miami Dolphins uniform?
I don't know if I've gotten to that. I mean, would we like Fernando Mendoza in a Dolphins uniform? I think all signs would point to yes, but I don't know that you have the draft capital to pull it off. When you talk about the general managers, like each one of those player personnel guys or assistant GMs that were mentioned today, they all I sent a text to my Canadian bacon friend and told him I got some new headphones and a new mic.
You got a setup, man.
And
it's official now, brother.
Yeah, so he because he's giving me a hard time about. Sorry, my dog.
All good.
So like all those, it's not going to be the same old because Greer's not here anymore. And each one of those GMs that we've talked about, or the ones that have been mentioned, are all kind of come from. I mean, from what I saw, they're more than likely winning, not just like new winning, like have sustained winning. So there's a lot of those names on there that you kind of get intrigued by and be like. The other thing is they all kind of tie in somehow to Mike McDaniel in some way, shape, or form.
You're 100% right. If you look around on X and you hear from our friends or fellow compatriots on FTSN and around the league, just different Dolphins, everybody keeps zoning in on the 49ers guys. And they're like, oh, no, man, this is all Mike McDaniel. I don't want any 49ers guy. But then they don't realize, like, you do know, the guy from the Rams, the guy from the Packers,
they're all tied together.
The only one who doesn't is the Eagles guy, which is Hallerby, who we're going to get into.
Right.
But you're right. Every other one really has a connection to McDaniel and his style of player. So very interesting call out, Coach.
Yeah. Yeah, that to me is the biggest thing is just getting guys on the same page. And just a new way of thinking, right? Like the way Greer did things and bringing in broken players and trying to get them, we'll bring this guy in on a 1-year deal and he's injured. And then we'll bring this guy in and he's injured. And it's like, it was just so like, as much as I want McDaniel gone and just to start this thing all over again, knowing that Greer's way of thinking hopefully is gone and we'll have some fresh thinking up top.
Absolutely. We'll get into it here. First off, shout out Finstanza's in the house. Russ Morgan, host of On Deck, resident Jets fan. He'll join us at some points during the offseason as well here on OTC. Eric Rivera, great to see you. Let's see here. Finstanza also will be doing. He's been watching some film. He's been watching some college players. He will be kind of a branch of OTC with over time. He'll be doing some other stuff, and of course we'll be working with them over there too on FTSN. So excited to do that, and that Evan's going to take that on. Excited for him, Brett Lagasse and Greg to get their perspectives. Which they did give some perspectives yesterday on how they think they should build a team or how a team should be built. And Josh texted me. He's like, I do not agree with him whatsoever.
Did not agree.
We are going to get into it about how this draft should be addressed and how you should build a team. Would love to hear it. So let me see here. Yes, we are here for we're competing with Monday Night Raw. Of course, McDaniel is involved in the GM. So
we've got some big surprises for you.
Yeah, brother.
Some people coming out of the woodwork. Break the walls down. You get them live on the pod tonight.
That's right, brother. There's a lot going on. There's been a lot of noise. McDaniel had his end of season press conference today where he said, I don't have all the notes in front of me, but I'm the coach until I'm no longer the coach, and that he is involved in the GM hiring process which of course rubbed people a lot in the wrong way. Evan texted me, and again, the way I looked it up, or the way I thought of it was, again, nobody, even if we have an idea that we're going to lose our job or quit our job, we're still going to do our job until it's no longer our job. And as long as Mike McDaniel's the head coach, I understand absolutely why he would be involved in the GM search if he has to partner with this guy. So I don't think he has a direct say over who's going to get hired, but I do think that, sitting in, listening, oh, okay, this guy actually, I think I could work with this guy. I think I could work with this guy. And in the end, it's up to, of course, Stephen Ross and company. So very quick, before we get into consultants, candidates, and everything else, Josh, I'll start with you. Today, Mike McDaniel saying he is involved in the GM search, that he just, because he has 20 years experience working with different guys. So, he could kind of give an idea of how he feels with certain people, that they will go into a quarterback competition next season, that he's the coach until he's no longer the coach. First, just what did you think of his comments? Do you think he should be the coach next year? Should it be left to the GM and maybe the GM lets him go?
Yeah, so first thing, quarterback situation, I think it's correct. I mean, you can't say that everyone believes that he's going to favor Tua. Everyone believes that he wants Tua, he loves Tua. Tua is his guy. But I don't know how yours played, how you can't go into next season and not just do a 50-50. Here's an opportunity. We don't have a starter. Go win it in camp. If Tua becomes a starter because he truly won it in camp, great. But I think there needs to be an opportunity to be had. The coach situation. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, because up until this point, he hasn't had competition.
No,
right?
No.
Like he's just, you're the guy and there's no competition and it's your show, which to me is one of the reasons why he's played so bad. What's the accountability factor on the back end? I'll go out and throw 14 interceptions and, still show up next week and collect a paycheck.
And I feel like the talent around him outside of receiver has improved. Mm-hmm. Regardless, I think the offensive line has gotten better. Mm-hmm. I feel tight end has gotten better. The running game has gotten better, and he's digressed. Like mm-hmm. he's not the quarterback he was 2 years ago when I was like, well, I don't know. This guy is playing really, really well right now. He's digressed from that scenario and just gone down lower. When it comes to the coaching situation, I don't know how you have given this guy this amount of time. He has not won a playoff game. He has not done much, and you're going to give him another opportunity. He hasn't looked good. I go back to the game where he decided to not kick that field goal, and I absolutely lost my mind in that game. I think it was, I forget exactly which game it was, but he decided to go for it when you guys were down by 3. I think there was 5 minutes left in the game, and he decided to go for it. The worst decision I've ever seen. Or no, it might have been going for 2. I'm trying to think back to what it was. He went for 2 rather than kicking the extra point to tie the game. Went for 2. There was so much time left. I didn't get that decision. I thought it was the worst decision a coach has made. I think I texted you guys right after, and I was like, worst decision I've ever seen. Fire him after this game because that was awful. I just don't know how he still has a job. And to the last question you asked was, I think they're doing it backwards. I want my GM to go and find his coach, not the coach to go and help find the GM. So,
I mean,
go ahead, Coach.
I was just gonna say I agree with Josh on everything. Like, we're in the same situation. Like, he's not gonna figure it out. He's gotten worse as a head coach. Like, when you look at the stats, and this is coming from somebody that openly supported McDaniel for the longest time, but you just see the same thing. And then like the third, how are you coming out of halftime and you're that bad coming out of the locker room for third quarter? It's god awful. And you just, just give me a GM and then let's figure out a coach from there and start this anew. Like,
the way that locker room has been, there's been no accountability from the coaching staff on anything with the players. He wants it's noticeably he wants to be the player's best friend.
Yeah.
And I think I saw Brett mention he's Joe Philbin. He wants to be the player's best friend. He's not too hard on them. They need I hate to say it, but they need Brian Flores on this team. I think that was the best situation that this team has been in quite a long time, and the trajectory was looking up. And then that happened with him, and it's awful.
Well, to me, it kind of feels like with the Flores situation, like, especially with Tua being, was it a rookie under him and them not getting along, not on the same page, and just seeing like, I'd stop talking to people too if I'm kind of forced in the situation and I'm stuck with a quarterback that I don't really support.
No,
because at least under Flores, you felt like there was some kind of toughness there, offensively and defensively. You see what he's doing with Minnesota, as much as, we all just want better.
No, right on. And so I will say too, kind of reading between the tea leaves, the other reports that are coming through in regards of why, like, and the report, he seems to be the one who's been drumming the whole McDaniel's coming back thing. There's been other conflicting words. It's 50-50. You hear we have not heard from Stephen Ross. We have not seen any press release from Stephen Ross yet, which is odd. Last year, immediately after the game, we were doing post game, and that came through. This year, no. He could be using McDaniel as a proxy to speak on his behalf, because today McDaniel's like, I'm here until I'm no longer here. I'm involved in the process. He's speaking like he's going to be here next year with, there will be a QB competition. So again, until we get that final say, we'll see what happens with the head coaching position. But something I found that was very interesting that I already kind of thought of when it looks more and more like McDaniel's definitely going to stay, and why they would do this. They're basically doing the same thing with McDaniel that they did with Tua. And, instead of getting rid of Tua after the Flores situation, when Tua didn't look like he was something, they went and got McDaniel for Tua. Now it looks like they're going to go get that GM for McDaniel and go get him another quarterback and say, hey, maybe it's because the quarterback regressed terribly. We're going to go get you another quarterback. Maybe it's because it's Greer that you were not successful with this roster. Let's give you let's give you a GM who, fresh mind, fresh ideas, maybe someone who's easily better to work with, who's going to get you the guys you need, put you in position for success. Let's get you a new quarterback, and let's see if that will get you where we think you could bring us as a successful head coach. They're basically doing the same thing they did with Tua. They're trying to build McDaniel up for success. Does it work? I don't know. But that kind of, the more and more I listen and I read and I see, that looks like what is being played out in front of us is another type of Tua situation, but with McDaniel this time. Instead of now, Tua getting a coach who makes him feel good, we're going to go get a GM. And then we're going to go to another quarterback and pair them up with McDaniel. And maybe that is what turns the corner for Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, is this now McDaniel's tied to the GM as kind of what you were saying? Tua's tied to McDaniel. McDaniel's tied to the GM. Once McDaniel, if it doesn't work out with him, are we getting rid of the GM?
No,
at that point?
I don't think so. I really think I was saying this the other day as I'm starting to, I guess, as typical Dolphin fans do, or any sports team does, sports fan, you start to kind of make yourself comfortable with the idea. You start trying to make excuses in your head. So I'm just going to say this out loud, and this is where I stand on it. If McDaniel is legitimately, or if it ends up being where he is going to come back, it's whatever, because we haven't had a new GM in 20 plus years. Greer's been involved for a long time. The guys that we fired, the 2 player personnel guys, were there for 20 plus years. They had a huge hand in how this team has been built. That foundation has been built for those 20 plus years, 20 years of failure, mediocrity, everything else. McDaniel's only been here for 4 seasons, even though we've seen the regression. We've seen the questionable halftime adjustments, third quarter. Evan brought up great information yesterday with no scores in third quarter. There are things you go, what the hell? But at the same time, it's not like people go, oh, they're doing the same thing, half-assing it. Well, the truth is not really, because they did fire Chris Greer. They did fire 2 guys who had a big hand in that scouting and the bringing in these players. They're going to be new guys doing this. That I do think that if a GM goes, look, yes, I could work with McDaniel. Yes, I could do this, this, and this. And if so forth, they go, hey, we got you the quarterback, or, we got you the new GM. And next year they start the same way they did like this year. I could see the new GM saying, okay, we're going to move on from McDaniel. Then I go get my coach next season. To me, this is like that. If McDaniel comes back, it's the final straw. It's your final chance. We're giving you an opportunity with a new guy. And this is something that McDaniel said today that was key to me, because we all think that Miami is not close. Nobody should be predicting playoffs next season because of the way the schedule looks next year and the way the roster is built and where we see the cap situation is. We know the cap's going to change. It's going to look better, but we know it's not easy pickings for Miami Dolphins. But something that stuck out to me to Mike McDaniel, which you should hold against him going to next year, says we're not in rebuild mode. He does not believe. He's going to say, we're not in if he said, no, we're going to be in total rebuild, we're going to new GM, we're going to strip this thing down and try to build it up. That's when you go, okay, this guy's here for the long haul. But because he says we're not in rebuild mode, to me, I believe, that holds him to the fire. If they suck next year, like they did at the start of this year, he could be out the door. Go ahead.
I just love this statement. It's the truest statement there is. You're not going to hire a CEO and let them know, like, hey, you're keeping everyone on staff. The CEO has control over that. That's going to be the GM. And then you build around that. And I think it's just backwards what's happening.
So I've got a lot of stuff bouncing around in my head. My question, right? We went out and we got Troy Aikman as this special counsel type gimmick, right? Do we think this is like the first day that the season's been over that they could really talk, right? So my thinking is everybody's, Mike McDaniel's safe, Mike McDaniel's safe, Mike McDaniel's safe. What if Ross is having these conversations with Aikman behind the scene? That's why he's not talking to media yet. And Aikman's going to be like, dude, if you're going to do it, cut the ties. And there's, a few good prospects out the gate, so maybe that's why we haven't heard anything yet, is because we're still waiting for Aikman and Ross to have those conversations.
Aikman, I will. Okay, so first, in regards to Jamie's comment, which it's absolutely true. Again, I don't think anybody's going to go into it. This is not like when they were looking for a coach after Flores, and they were like, and that's why McDaniel was the only one interviewed. Only team that interviewed McDaniel was the Dolphins. The reason why they hired Mike McDaniel was to be Tua's coach. That's it. They got their hands smacked. That's whatever. I do believe that, again, that they're interviewing the GM and they're saying, look, our coach is Mike McDaniel. Have a chance to talk to him. Tell us what you think of him. Mike McDaniel saying, I'm a part of this GM search, or I'm involved in this process to give his advice and whatever. I think it's the other way around. I think the GMs will have an opportunity to talk to McDaniel, and if they believe that he's the guy, he's the guy. I don't think the Dolphins are dumb enough, even though that's easier said than done, are dumb enough to say, hey, you're locked in on this guy because of everything. And this is why I know a lot of people were critical. Not a lot of people, a few are critical of Troy Aikman as a consultant for this GM search. What has he done? How many GMs has he hired? Why is it not Dan Marino, which Marino is a consultant? This is why Troy Aikman was a good hire for the GM, or to be a part of this process, because he is outside the organization. He's an outside voice. It's not Brandon Shore, who's been with the Dolphins for a while now. It's not all the guys. Everyone, look, Tom Garfunkel, Brandon Shore, Dan Marino, Mike McDaniel, son-in-law, Ross's son-in-law. These are people involved in the search for the new general manager. If those were the guys involved in the search alone, the Dolphin fans should be nervous, because it's going to be same old. You're looking at a bunch of yes men for Stephen Ross in this process. You get Troy Aikman, who is hired as a consultant. He's not long-term. He's not the general manager. He's not the VP of football operations. He's not a yes man. Ross brought him in to give broadcaster, Hall of Fame quarterback, goes around the league, talks to everybody, touched, part of every team. This is a guy who could tell when everyone else is telling Ross what he wants to hear. Aikman's going to be the one going, hey, man, you really want a good GM? You're going to have to look at this guy. You really GM? You might have to think about moving on from your coach. I think it's a real big blessing in disguise that I actually love the hire of Troy Aikman because it's outside the organization. It's short term. It's not a yes man. He doesn't owe anything to Stephen Ross. He could tell Stephen Ross, no, F off and move on. Josh.
Yeah. And there's no way that Troy Aikman goes into this scenario. And if they ask what they think about Mike McCarthy, that Troy's going to like Mike McDaniel. There's no way that he's going to like Mike McDaniel because McDaniel reminds me a lot of the coach that Troy Aikman completely hated when he played, Barry Switzer. If you watched America's Team, you know how much Troy despised Barry Switzer. And he likes someone that's going to get hard on the players and like put them in their place and give them direction and coach them. I don't think you have that in McDaniel, but like you said, Troy is not afraid to be opinionated. He's done it his entire career. He's going to give you his opinion regardless if you like it or not. He's been around the business for quite some time. He wanted to be a GM, so he's reached out to multiple GMs. John Lynch, he's reached out. I want to say Les Snead. Talk to them. What does it take to be a great GM? Because they're two of the top GMs in the league right now. And he's admired the role of GM. So if you like anything, you're going to look into what it takes to be that. And he's connected into the NFL. I don't think any of these guys that you mentioned are as connected, maybe Mike McDaniel, are as connected to the NFL as a whole like Troy Aikman is. He's inside the locker rooms. He's doing interviews. He's talking to personnel. He's there. And he knows he might be asking players, what do you think about this coach? What do you think about the GM? Behind the scenes, people are being candid with Troy Aikman. People admire Troy Aikman as what he did in the NFL. So he might not be on the record, but they're having those conversations behind the scenes. So he knows a lot, and I think it's going to be valuable to this hiring process.
So let's say, for instance, that they're interviewing John McKay, right? The Rams assistant GM. And he's like, this is my plan. This is what I see going forward. But in order for me to GM, he can't be the coach. I've got my own guys in mind. Do you think that's something that Ross goes, I really like his style, or do you think that he is set in stone? That
if there's a guy like you said, John McKay, the assistant GM for the Rams, if he comes in right and he absolutely kills the interview, he's impressive. This is my vision, Steve Ross. This is what I want to do. Yes, we could get out of Tua's deal. Yes, we could do this. Yes, it's going to hurt the cap. You guys we're in cap hell right now if we do this. But I have a plan in place that we could get us in this thing. And if Ross absolutely falls in love with him, but he goes, I don't want McDaniel as my coach. If Aikman, or especially an outside voice like Aikman with Marino, who's sitting there, maybe because and they go, hey man, we got to move on. We can't let this kid go. We can't let this guy go. Then I think that's a scenario that plays out for the Miami Dolphins. And I think that's why that's why I love the Aikman hire as a consultant, because it's that outside voice. It's that guy who's going to be able to tell Ross, because Ross might go, I love this guy, but I love McDaniel more. And no. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Tom Garfinkel has been there. Yes, sir. No, you're right. No, let's go ahead and let's go with and I'm not hating on any of these guys. I'm just throwing a name out. Let's go with Josh Williams because he has a relationship with Mike McDaniel. Yeah. I know a lot of people are crapping on Josh Williams, but this guy has a very good history too. I know but I'm just throwing that out there. Let's just go with him because his relationship with Mike McDaniel. No, if there's a guy there that kills it, but he's like, hey man, I want to get my own coach. I have a coach in mind. This is how my plans work. And Ross loves him. Aikman can tell him. Aikman doesn't have to worry about getting fired or shitted on. Right. He's on his own thing. You go, you got to go that route.
But how long do you have to wait and do this hiring process if someone like these coaches are going to get snagged up quickly? Like, how long can you take a GM search, go to the last hiring process, and then say that's my guy. And he's like, oh yeah, I don't want McDaniel
Fair.
there.
Fair
Then
question.
you have to make the decision now.
I
Is this
think
my coach or is
right.
it not?
Well, and that's why I feel like, that's why I feel like, like today and tomorrow, there's got to be hardcore conversations, and these interviews have got to come in quick. And then, by the end of the week, be like, all right, this is our GM, and McDaniel is gone, and let's go after this coach.
Like, to be honest, this search should be done at the end of the week.
Yeah.
If you're not sure about the head coach, this search should be done by the end of the week, and then you're hiring a coach after that.
Yeah, because if not, we're stuck with McDaniel. If not,
let's throw out the names that were reported. Let's go over here very quick. There's the names there, and then the Dolphins officially released, and I think it matches up. But John Eric Sullivan, VP of Player Personnel for the Packers, Alec Hallerby, the Eagles assistant GM, John McKay, the Rams assistant general manager, Josh Williams, director of scouting and football operations with the 49ers, Tariq Ahmed, 49ers VP of Player Personnel, and RJ Gillen for the 49ers assistant GM. Those are all guys that the Dolphins have put in have requested permission to interview for the general manager spot. Josh, since you are up on the big screen, what names jump out at you?
I mean, John Eric Sullivan's the one that everyone's been talking about. My guy's not here. I think you guys are
Ed Dodds
flipping on not getting Ed Dodds in there. But John Eric is one. John McKay, just because I respect Les Snead so much as a general manager, someone working under him, John McKay has to be someone that you're looking at. I mean, Alec Hallerby too. I made this statement on one of the shows, on the comments on one of the shows. How much talent have you seen leave Philadelphia and have been successful? Mm-hmm. I don't think they train the people under them very well. Kind of like Bill Belichick. So that would be my one fear. And I'm a little afraid of how heavy 49ers they went here. I feel like there's like, hey,
it's very obvious. Very obvious. Yeah. The one that I know that Evan has brought up, and I was looking up a little bit today, Josh Williams, probably one of the ones that was kind of like, okay, Tariq Ahmed, another scouting guy. Because the one thing that was reported after Aikman was hired was that the Dolphins want to get somebody with a very scouting background, a very good scouting background. Yeah. And everybody on this list minus Hallerby, it fits that criteria. The guys on this list, John Eric Sullivan's my favorite one. That's the guy, like, if they could make John McKay's number two, but if they could get one of those two guys, especially Sullivan, that's a home run. It's a home run hit, at least early on. We'll see how it all plays out. But I think what you just brought up about the Eagles is so fair, that I would love to see that. I love that you brought that up. Again, Ed Dodds is a guy that, and again, could they make the request tomorrow? Possibly. Another name, again, I brought it up yesterday, Josh, was Ian Cunningham from the Bears, assistant GM. That's another guy that I like, that, young, scouting background, former player. I think I would love if you would have told me John Eric Sullivan, Ed Dodds, and Ian Cunningham, I would have been, they're doing their, look, first of all, Sullivan, McKay, Hallerby, you got those names. That's great. Those are great names. I love that's, to me, that screams Aikman. Yes, 49ers right there, which again, 49ers, they've drafted well. They've built their team well where, a quarterback can go down and they're still a successful football team. You can't ignore that. I know everybody sees 49ers and they get all nervous because it's McDaniel, but again, you can't ignore it. Ray Agnew is a guy we brought up before in the past on FTSN, who I wouldn't hate, but the issue with that, he hasn't been mentioned in this list. Go ahead, Josh.
It's just like, when you leave a job and you go somewhere else and you're like, man, I want to get my boys to come work with me over here. Yeah. That's what Josh Williams and Tariq Ahmed feel like to me. These are my guys back in the 49ers. Mm-hmm. I want to bring them over here so we can work with them. I think Stefanski should be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Like, if you miss out on that opportunity, that's awful.
Let's see here for a second. I just want to read this here from Albert Breer. So the Dolphins were quiet coming out of Sunday's route in Foxborough, as we said in a column Friday. McDaniel's status remains uncertain, though Stephen Ross likes him and was seemingly looking for reasons to keep him as the season went rounded down. Ross is deliberating on it with Tom Garfunkel and cap star Brandon Shore as they prepare for the GM search. One thing I've heard could be a factor is whether Stefanski or Harbaugh become available. That is from Albert Breer, which we do know Stefanski is available for the Miami Dolphins if they were to make a change.
I mean, he's available for anybody, and if they don't act quickly, he's going to be gone. Right? They're talking about the Giants wanting to snag.
The Giants, the Raiders, and any one of those guys. So, but I think again, looking at these names, and again, you're right, and Evan says it there. He kept saying it, and he's not a fan of it because what it means for McDaniel. But the Dolphins, we're going to go 49ers heavier because if they want to keep McDaniel, they want to go with a guy who knows how to, guy who's familiar with the type of players and roster McDaniel could be successful with, possibly. But I think that, again, even though I'm not going to hate on any of these guys, again, I like what I saw with Josh Williams in the history. My pick, or right now, at least with these names, John McKay, John Eric Sullivan, those are the dudes. But we'll see. We'll play it out. Right now, it's GM. Coach is still Mike McDaniel. When Mike McDaniel, if he is fired, we'll get into that. But right now, it's GM, and they got to make the right call. And I think if you had to pick from this list, Coach, which one are you going with?
I really like John Eric Sullivan for the simple fact that the Packers, they deliver every draft, and they have forever. Like whatever the Packers have going on in their scouting department, like it just keeps going and going and going and going. And they keep nailing the quarterback position, right? Oh, they're stupid for drafting Love. Well, they saw the writing on the wall that Rodgers, it was time to move on from Rodgers, and they brought in Love, and Love's gotten them exactly where they are. They're still there. That's why they continue to be in the playoffs every year. There's just a lot going on correct with the Packers organization. John McKay, again, is another one that I'm big on, because look what the Rams have done, under that current tenure, right? Eagles. Why is everybody so high on the Hallaby guy?
Because the Eagles have maybe the best GM in the NFL, especially navigating the cap. And
I guess that makes sense.
And I just don't think I see, you don't see a lot of pro personnel come away from the Eagles and go into high ranking positions. I think
that's true.
But what I will say is there is kind of like this tree coming off of maybe John McKay. Les Snead came from Thomas Dimitroff. Thomas Dimitroff, I forget who he worked with at the Patriots. But he worked with Belichick. He worked with, I forget who their GM at the time. Like there's a GM tree being built here.
Yeah.
Amongst them. They want, and I forget the book I was reading. It might have been Bill Belichick's autobiography. But there is a known, we want the next person to do better than us because they have our name connected to them around these guys, especially Dimitroff, Les Snead. So I would be very interested in John McKay just for that known fact of there's passion amongst these. I want the next guy to do even better than what I did.
Yeah. It's similar to kind of like with me being a teacher and working with assistants that, in the positions, like my whole goal when I started having assistants is I want to try and get these assistants to do whatever it is they want to do in the school system. If it's social worker, then get them social worker, become a teacher, even as coaches, you want your coaches to go on and be great. And that's, if you looked at my quote unquote family tree, like the people that I've worked with have gone on to be really, really good teachers, and two have become social workers. And like that to me is kind of that what you want to do is just kind of, be able to figure that aspect of it out.
And it's so Scott Pioli, that's who it is. Scott Pioli worked with Bill Belichick when he was with the Browns. Thomas Dimitrieff's dad worked with Scott Pioli. They build a bond. They then do that. They then have this like tree being built. So
he's an idiot.
That's so good, dude. Oh man, it's like nitpicking. Well, I just knew it. That's great. That's awesome, man. But I'm sorry, Josh. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's I feel like there's care, and I think coming from that tree, I think there's going to be a lot of knowledge about what the position is and what you need to do to fill that role. So John McKay would be high on my list. I mean, John Eric Sullivan, I think the Packers, it's a well-known organization. They do really well. They are consistently great. The only thing to that is, what will Miami fans feel about only going into the draft and drafting players and not going out and getting free agents? Because that's what John Eric knows. Like the Packers don't go. I mean, they traded for Parsons, but other than that, they don't really go out and get big time free agents. Mm-hmm. It's more so drafting. So it's kind of like understanding where they come from. What do they do? John McKay is going to do whatever it takes to build a winning roster. Right. We see that with Les Snead.
So then the question then, Josh, is how do you build your team?
You're saying
through the draft, or you said
I think it's a combination of both. Like you can't go into the draft
and just draft guys.
Yeah. You can't go in with a lot of holes. But as a Cowboys fan, I'm used to the Joneses going in, filling our needs with low-level players, and then drafting to improve it. No, I think you need to go in. You need to identify your worst position and go get a really good player to replace that, a veteran player. Your team needs to be a mixture of really good veterans and really good young guys. And that's what you see with Philadelphia. Like that's why he is one of the best GMs in the NFL. He's going to go and get guys to play at really key positions, but at the same time, he's going to draft really well, and he's going to put care in what player is being drafted, what are they going to do, and he creates competition. You don't like – I like that.
So I want to say too, and this is Daniel in the comments. Appreciate Daniel dropping in here. I think that's what this team is missing. This team has done for years is build through free agency. I think that's why McDaniel was set up for failure instead of success. When he came on this team wasn't built to win now. They weren't. They were forced into the spotlight to do it because what did they do? They traded for Tyreek Hill. They signed Terron Armstead, eventually traded for Jalen Ramsey. So his window kind of went like that. Instead of being allowed to grow and build his team up based off his vision and based off him, he had to jump and go, okay, I'm not just trying to coach a young team with a young quarterback, try to build him up. I got to rush and try to get this team to win playoff games. You did not give him that opportunity. With a possible like John Eric Sullivan, which Eagles and they did trade, like you said, for Michael Parsons. A lot of times people always say, man, the Packers don't really go after big guys. They usually just build through the draft. The Dolphins don't do that. They don't build through the draft. Yeah, we've made some draft picks. Yeah, some guys are here, but a lot of them don't stay. With someone like a John Eric Sullivan, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get a guy who's been on a team that knows how to build through the draft, be here, and then sign the right free agents. They're not always sexy names, but they're guys that are going to help you win football games, not just 1 year, but consecutively. You're going to be a team that's always in competition. So I believe that would be the best case scenario if that was if you're telling me out of all these guys on this list, I'd go John Eric Sullivan. John McKay would be number 2. Everyone else falls behind them. And that's not a knock on any of them, whether they're 49ers or Hallerby, who doesn't have a scouting background. He's an analytics guy. I don't know how much I trust that portion of it.
I definitely want a scouting background. I just feel like
I feel like they create when you're coming up in pro personnel, I feel like they have the most knowledge. They've been through the most. They've been in each scenario. They're traveling. they have a connection with going and talking to these players where they can get the most out of it. I think they've been there, done that scenario, so they can approach almost anything. I just feel like the 49ers have a leg up in this hiring process right now.
So we will wait and we will see. We'll see as the week goes on. Maybe tomorrow we get a couple new names on this list, and we will react and discuss as they pop in. And of course, on the next show, if there's a new GM, we'll go ahead and look at their history. We'll discuss how their teams were built, how much say or influence they've had on those picks, and go from there. But let's go ahead and talk now about team needs for the Miami Dolphins. And this is what I have so far, but I want you guys to look at this. Tell me, do you agree, disagree? Would you add someone on here? Obviously, starts off with the quarterback. By all intents and purposes, everything we've seen, the Dolphins and Tua are done with each other. Miami's going to find a way out of it. Tua said today he would be absolutely happy. It would be dope if he was on another team next year. So with or without him, Miami was going to look for a quarterback this offseason. McDaniel said there will be a quarterback competition next year. Quinn Ewers, from what I've took from that, he believes Quinn Ewers has earned the opportunity to possibly compete next season at quarterback. Safety is on there, defensive back and general safety corner. Even though I was happy with Rasul Douglas, I was happy with Jack Jones at times. Corner and safety should absolutely be in that category. Wide receiver, which was once a strength, quote unquote, for the Miami Dolphins, is absolutely now a need for the Miami Dolphins. Tight end is there because we don't know what's going to happen with Darren Waller. Edge rusher, Chop Robinson, had a bad year this year in his second year. Bradley Chubb, even though I was very happy with Bradley Chubb this season, he more than likely is going to be a cap casualty. They traded Jalen Phillips. So edge rusher is absolutely a need for me. And then the right side of the offensive line, James Daniels can't stay healthy. Austin Jackson could be out the door. Do they move 7A, who struggled at left guard? Do they move him to the right side, which I think would be the best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins and Jonah? I don't hate on him. Guys have bad years, rookie years all the time. I'm not giving up on the kid. I love the kid. I loved what I saw from him in State last year. I think they got to move him to the right side. But right side offensive line is absolutely a need for the Miami Dolphins. Josh, I'm going to start with you on this part here. First off, do you think do we have the right list up on here? Would you add a position on here? And then I want you to talk about what you heard yesterday that you disagreed with in regards of how to build a team, and how would you start if you were running the Miami Dolphins, you were the general manager hired from the Dallas Cowboys. How would Josh rebuild the Dolphins with this next coming draft?
Yeah. So I don't think there's a position that I would not draft. I don't think this roster's ready to get picky. I'm drafting the best players available. I'm looking at my number one slot, and whoever's up there, I'm taking, because I just want to get the best players on my roster right now. Like I said, is there a position on this team that you're like, I like that one? Because even a running back right now, you could probably say running back's one of the top positions, but are you going to re-sign your top running back? Like, is he going to get a second year? So you probably don't even feel comfortable at running back at this point. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm taking the best player at the best position. Doesn't matter. The one thing I disagree with is I do not think wide receiver is a premium position, and offensive line is not. Defensive
this is something you've heard from yesterday, right?
Yeah.
From the guys. This is what you're talking about. Okay.
Wide receiver being premium. I don't think it's a premium position. I think, yes, it's a luxury to have really good receivers, and you want to have really good receivers. But without an offensive line, without a defensive line, like, teams are built within the trenches. It's you need to build that up. And I just feel like if you don't have, and McMillan, yes, he was a great piece to it, but they have a really good offensive line as well. They have a really good defensive line as well. They put time and effort into that. McMillan was the piece that helped the quarterback get over the edge, because the quarterback can't elevate his players around him. McMillan elevated the quarterback, kind of like what we saw in Miami with the receivers elevating the quarterback previously. But I feel like you really have to focus on the trenches. We saw a lot of that happen with Miami. Miami had the best receivers. Like, Miami was stacked at receiver. but they didn't have an offensive line. And what do we come away with at the end of that year? You have to get better on the offensive line. The rushing lanes aren't there. Tua doesn't have time. It's just, I feel like you have to control the line of scrimmage and then work off of that. Yes, you have to put value into it, but you also have to have the pieces around them as well. You can't have a great defensive line and a bad secondary because defensive line isn't going to have time. You need to build a team that works together and works. Are you like you Evan? You don't even like your offensive line,
Yeah.
So you have to build it. I'm just a strong component of like inside out, essentially.
And I will say, I'm gonna get Coach in here right now. I just want to bring up to because everybody's like, take quarterback off this list. This is not just draft, guys. Stop it for a minute.
Yeah.
This is off-season team needs. Okay, if Tua is gone or Tua, that's the way to Miami is absolutely gonna be shot before quarterback, whether that is in the 3rd round, whether that is in free agency or trade. Quarterback is still a team need. Just because quarterback's here doesn't mean, we're going quarterback round 1.
Right.
So, everybody get out of their feelings. Stop thinking about just the draft. This is in regards to the offseason here. Quarterback is a need and will not come off the list. Coach, you're the same questions.
I mean, and it's probably going to be the exact same thing that Josh said, because I think if you go back to the very first podcast that we ever did together, for me, it's offensive line, defensive line, right? You want offensive line and quality depth on the offensive line, and you want some badass dogs on the defensive line and depth, right? And that to me is how you build it. I mean, look at Philadelphia. We brought up the Philadelphia assistant GM, like their offensive line and defensive lines are stacked. And what happened when Jason Kelsey retired? They had somebody already brewing to step right in his place, and you were my first. Costanza killing me. Just in that in that form, a solid offensive line, defensive line, and then try and get your pieces plug and play as you can. But I can't do the 1 year sign and the guys. As much as I loved Armstead, how did he have any seasons where he was there the whole season? I think he was hurt every season that we had him, and it's like, you're paying him to be out more than you're paying him to be on the field. So I want us to take chances on guys that aren't injury prone. For me, when I'm evaluating talent, right? Like when we're doing quarterbacks, like with Dante Moore, does he have an injury history? If he does, is that going to hesitate with me drafting him? And I only bring up Dante Moore because that's the quarterback that I did. But, or like these offensive linemen, there's somebody that I think it was one of the guards I think it was Alabama that they had rated as somebody had rated as the second highest guard. And I go to watch film and he's out half the games that I watched, and come to find out he's got concussion history and he's got injury issues and competition issues. Like the person that he was competing against was just flat out better than him. That's a lot of my evaluation. I try and go back and put that piece into it as well. Is there injury concern history that you have to worry about?
That's Jaden Roberts. I did the same thing.
Yes.
Like, what film do I have on this guy? And then every time you go to watch an Alabama game, he's out.
Where is number 67?
Yeah.
He's not in there.
Yeah.
Sorry, had to do it.
Big
Sam. My son doesn't let that go.
When you work in girls sports, you get it every day.
Yeah.
Anything, bro. Anything. Yeah, exactly. We're playing NBA 2K, and we get to 67. My son, 6. He hates when I'll go for like it's 65. So he's waiting for me to hit that next 2-pointer. So he's gonna let me do it. And I'll just shoot a 3. I'll shoot a 3 for 68. Oh, he gets so mad. Damn. Tough life, bro. But you know what I want to say too. In regards of team needs, we talked about this yesterday, and you're right. Running back should be on there, especially after what we saw from Jalen Wright. I still love Ollie Gordon. Again, it's first year. I did see some things that I liked from him this year, but again, I'm not going to say, he should automatically be RB2. he has to earn that. He'll have a preseason. He'll have an all offseason preseason to show that he should be the 1-2 punch for Devon Achane. Achane is incredible. I love Devon Achane. He was so impressive this year at running back, at receiver. You just saw that growth. But running back is another name, another position that absolutely should be considered for the Miami Dolphins at any point in the draft. So, Coach, I'm going to ask you this question. I know it's very early, and yes, we have to watch a lot of film, but you are a Notre Dame guy. Somehow, some way, at 11, Love is sitting there. Is that a guy that you'd be like, I know you're an offensive line guy. We are. I
would run it up. I would absolutely run it up.
Guy.
I saw him do some things that I've never seen running backs do before.
Tell me, Devon Achane, Love. What type of backfield would that be for my?
They're completely different backs. They would be complementary, but like he's just so silky smooth with it's one cut and go smooth. Right? Like in the playoff game last year with Notre Dame and Indiana, and Notre Dame was down on the 1 yard line, and he busted that huge run off the left side for a touchdown. Like he's very he's a very patient. It is similar to Achane in the fact that he's very patient, and when he finds his hole and he 110 miles an hour, man, he's downhill, and he's a lot thicker than Achane, so he's probably get in there and in my opinion, Bobby, I know you're a Ollie Gordon guy, but he would absolutely destroy Ollie Gordon. And he's downhill, and he right, like some of those runs that I saw yesterday, and I was just not make anything out of. I feel like I think Love is a back that you're going to be able to. God, you could get years out of him. I mean, as far and I've made some declarations about Notre Dame people before, but he's one of them that I feel the most strongly about in a long time.
There you go. I love it, man.
Well, it's like for me building a team, I don't know with this scenario I can go and get a running back at 4 because I want someone that I'm going to give. I'm not big in. I've been through it, Ezekiel Elliott. I've been through all that. I'm not big into giving a running back a second contract. Am I going to be ready by year 5 to compete? Possibly. But even if I miss on that year 5, I'm going to then either give a big contract to a Love, or I'm going to then looking at someone else. I love him.
Yeah,
I'll say Love again just to give it a fourth.
love.
But I don't know right now with where Miami is. Maybe if it was trading up back into the first round, maybe. But I don't think they're in the scenario to draft him. But I mean, I'm all for drafting a running back every single. Like, I think you should draft a quarterback, a running back, and a cornerback every year.
All right, so let me backtrack a little bit because I like where you're going with that, Josh. With the Love thing, right? Like I am right. Like I strongly believe in Love. But like with Josh saying, right, early in the draft, you want to go, O-line, D-line, whatever. The next guy that you definitely take if he's there is Jadarian Price. The other running back he would have started on every other team in America if he wasn't backing up Love. So they're very, very similar running styles. He kick returns, punt returns, running back, like he was Mr. Everything at Notre Dame.
So let me ask excuse me. So running back in general, you guys right now at any point in the draft are not against Miami drafting another running back into this committee. Okay. All right, cool.
No.
And we'll get into all that. We're not
I think the Lions should take a stab at a running back right now.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt if you do a late round and you improve your third running back.
And those for, first off, Sammy Fins TV, shout out Fins TV. They'll be live tomorrow. I may be on that show. more than likely I will be for their final show. I think they also have an award show, but I'm excited, man. Sammy was a part of our pregame show. I think Josh, you were a part of Fins TV Plus on you were on an episode.
Yeah.
You know how Sammy's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I am the official Pick'em League champion.
I saw that.
Woo! Styling and profiling, bro. I'm gonna be wearing that ring.
Yeah.
I'll be like that. I'll be like that. All episode. Nobody's gonna be tell me nothing, bro. I picked all the right team. But so excited for that. Cafecito, if I look tired, if that's why you're saying that, again, I told this to the guys before, I'm yawning, whatever, I don't know what happened last night. I was tired. We turned the TV off about the knockout, and all of a sudden I couldn't knock out. It was like toss, turn. I looked at the time, it was 4 a.m. Went, holy crap, 5 a.m. My brain was, I've been a terrible migraine. I got up, started walking around. So
checked his temperature. It's a draft fever.
Draft fever. He started watching film. I was ready to go. I kept scrolling too. I kept swiping up, hoping I get that early McDaniel.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That didn't happen.
Bobby would have went live at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I would have.
4:30 in the morning. God, anybody open?
Man.
Anybody up? Anybody up?
Anybody here? Because those Aaron Rodgers prayers. DSG such a pain in the ass. Anyway, now quarterback. So since Miami is moving on from quarterback from Tua Tagovailoa, or that relationship is looking like it's about the end, QB is absolutely in need, whether that is through trade, free agency, and draft. Miami being at 11, more than likely they're not going to be in the range for Fernando Mendoza or a Dante Moore unless they decide, hey, we got to absolutely have one of these guys. We're going to trade up. So just to say, we are going to touch on quarterback tonight for a wrap up. We've been watching film all over. So there's guys that we've obviously seen already, running back, offensive line, quarterback, but we're going to touch on the top 3 guys so far in the quarterback draft class. And because you never know what could happen. But as the offseason goes along, we're going to touch on other guys. We're waiting to see what happens with the Ole Miss quarterback. Is he going to go back? He's waiting to get approval from NCAA. If he gets that approval, he'll be back for a 6th year with Ole Miss. Trinidad, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So we'll wait on that. But there are other guys. There are guys, again, it doesn't have to be round 1, no, scratch QB off that list. There's no way, bro. 2027. The 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round. Their QB is going to be available. And again, we're going to touch on all those guys. But here are the top guys right now on the list until we find out who's actually coming and staying and going, whatever. Fernando Mendoza, Indiana. What a year this kid has had, man, right? I mean, Heisman Trophy winner, what he's done in Indiana, the big win this past weekend to advance in the playoffs. Dante Moore out of Oregon, Ty Simpson, Alabama, Garrett Nussmeier, LSU, John Mateer, Oklahoma, Cade Klubnik, Clemson, Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt, he was a lot of fun to watch. Vanderbilt was a lot of fun to watch this year. What hurt him a lot too was his reaction to the Heisman Trophy. That really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Carson Beck out of Miami, another name, late round guy, not the perfect quarterback. I will say though, as a Miami fan, a lot of people, Dolphins draft. No. If it's a late round, 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever, okay. Yeah. But I'm going to say this. I will give him this credit, because he is quarterback, being one of the most impressive teams in college football right now. His heart. I give a lot of credit to him. What he's been able to do, you can hate on all you want, brother. I'll tell you, man, the heart of this kid, stands out, man. Can't hate on him. Jualar, someone who at one point for a lot of people was in the first overall pick, first round, last year with Penn State, absolute struggle this past season. He got injured. This is a guy that could be in the conversation for the Dolphins in day 2, 3rd round, whatever. If he's sitting there, if somehow, some way a team doesn't get him and he's there sitting in that day 2 pick, I would absolutely be banging the table to go get this guy. We're going to talk about him in a second. I know we got 3 guys we're going to talk about, but I do want to talk about Drew Allar. Talon Green out of Arkansas, Trinidad champ list from Ole Miss, Gunnar Stockton out of Georgia, Sawyer Robinson out of Baylor, Heinz King out of Georgia Tech. These are some of the QB prospects to watch. And there are other guys, too, that we are going to talk about. But this is just some of the list. But Coach, I'll start with you, my man.
All right.
You're looking at these names right here, brother. You're going to touch on Dante Moore, but other names on this list. Some of these guys, maybe some people aren't talking about. Who are some of the guys you look at this list like, I'm intrigued by this guy. Which guys intrigue you? Which guys would you just scratch off like, man, right now at least, I would not want to see these guys.
I mean, most of those quarterbacks, in my opinion, have fallen off from they're being shouted out and, hey, these guys are the go-to. The one for me that's really intriguing is Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. If he were to come out, he's won 2 national championships already at Ferris State. And then he's got Ole Miss playing in the semifinals, possibly the finals. I just think he's a competitor, man. He just competes. And he ended up taking the job for, I don't remember the kid's name that was the starter at Ole Miss, but he ended up taking the job and then not relinquishing it. He's one that I and then I want to watch more film on Gunnar Stockton. I mean, he did well with Georgia and then he didn't. Like, to me, he kind of collapsed last year in the Notre Dame game, and then he kind of collapsed who'd they play in the Ole Miss game. Like, he just, I don't know. Josh said it was coaching, but
it's coaching in Stockton. Stockton's very limited in what he can do. He's he can take a hit, but he's very limited.
Like with Garrett Nussmeier was supposed to be good, and did he get injured? Is that why he didn't finish the season? And John Mateer got injured, and Cade Klubnik fell off. And I just don't like Diego Pavia at all in any facet. But he said Gunnar does not sound like a quarterback.
It's a perfect name.
Yeah. Got a gun on.
That alone deserves recognition. There you go. Josh, same question, my man.
Yeah. I mean, Coach kind of talked about the guy as going down, but Garrett Nussmeier, you throw in the film as a Cowboys fan.
That's true. Yeah.
You see Tony Romo, like he runs just like him. I don't know if he's as creative behind the line of scrimmage as Romo was, but he has an arm on him. He can find. And when I first started out the scouting process, when did we start this? A month after the draft. We started kind of looking at the players, but we didn't have.
Right, as soon as the draft was over, we got right to work.
We didn't have the film this year, so we kind of
did last year's film. Yep.
So watching Garrett Nussmeier, I was kind of like, he turns the ball over a lot. It's not that great. He doesn't read the defense the best. Throwing on this year's film, you see someone that he can move out of the pocket. He plays well inside of it, but not afraid to move outside of it and make plays. I liked Nussmeier, but I don't think he's to the point of like a first round pick. I think he could be the day 2 pick. That would be really intriguing to me as a Miami fan. I did
like him last year when we at the end of the season when we jumped right back in after the drafts and stuff last year. He was one of them that I was like, oh, I'm really impressed with Nussmeier. And then I haven't watched any of the film yet this year on him. But I definitely. Yeah.
Drew Allar is like the opposite to me. Like, I watched his 2024 film and I was like, this guy is my top quarterback. I don't know what everyone else was saying. I would have taken him above Arch Manning when everyone was Arch crazy. But he was my guy. Like, he's got the big build. I think regardless of your evaluation of him, if he's a second, third round, he's going to be in the first round this year. Just for the fact of he looks like Josh Allen. He has an arm on him and he can play well within the pocket. Like that's going to be Drew Allar. And the one guy, and I've kind of talked about this already, that I don't like at all is Carson Beck. Like the one positive I could say about him, he takes what the defense gives him. He's not going to do much more than that, but he can you'll watch him. And then at the end of that play, you'll be like, what were you seeing? Like what was going through your mind to throw it directly to the defender? Like to that fact, it's not much different than Tua this year, essentially.
There you go. Coach, we'll get back to you, my man. We're at an hour here. First off, shout out to everybody who is just tuning in. You are watching On the Clock, the Fins Talk Draft Show here on FTSN, episode 1 of the 2026 offseason. Very excited to be back with the boys here. We've been talking behind the scenes for all season, but right immediately after the draft last year, we were right back at it. We had some spreadsheets. We are going back into film, and again, like we didn't have the recent film, but we're watching old film, and so I just love that we're back here to talk about these guys and get back into the draft. And everyone who's tuning in, we appreciate you. About 120 some odd people watching right now, so appreciate
That's awesome,
that.
Man.
So if wherever you're watching from, appreciate you. If you're watching after the show, we will, put your comments below on what you think the team needs are. What quarterbacks would you like to see Miami target, or would you like to watch, or for us to watch? If you have a name out there, I see Talon Green out of Arkansas's name on there. He is absolutely on my list. I'm looking forward to watching him. He's intriguing to me, especially his size. So I'm excited to watch that. But Coach, you got on the docket. You got Dante Moore out of Oregon, my man. Talk to us about him.
All right. This is my scouting report on Dante Moore. Obviously, he played at UCLA, I believe, and Oregon. I have him as a playmaking quarterback, off-script creator, functional NFL starter, scheme dependent. Now, when I do these, it's just when I see the film, I'm grading them on what I see today. So anything that I say is, what I see today. It's not saying that he can't be, an absolute franchise quarterback, but this is because, the notes and stuff that I put. He's a natural thrower with advanced playmaking ability. Moore plays fast mentally, processes quickly, and shows rare comfort creating outside of structure. Arm talent and creativity allow him to make throws others can't. Best work comes when pressured or forced off his spot, needs refinement and pocket discipline, eye manipulation, and full field progression work, but the foundation to win games with him is evident. His strengths, effortless thrower with clean mechanics and the arm strength to make every throw, comfortable driving the ball or adding touch when needed, good to great pocket awareness, climbs the pocket to avoid edge pressure, understands the ball must come out. Elite playmaker outside of structure, one of the best off-script creators studied, accurate throwing on the run, and capable of delivering from multiple arm angles. He has a Mahomes-ish functional creativity, not stylistic mimicry. He plays fast, mentally, processes and reacts quickly, identifies leverage and hits open receivers without hesitation, shows a strong internal clock and generally limits turnovers, understands situational football, willing to check it down or throw away and live for the next down. No serious injury concerns. My weaknesses, and I kind of wanted Josh, you to chime in, but some of the weaknesses I had, I feel like he can hold on the ball too long, leading to avoidable sacks, occasionally hunts big plays instead of taking efficient completions. And I felt like much of the tape shows half field or defined reads, and full field progression consistently remains a question. I just felt like a lot of the tape I was watching had him staring down one side of the field. And I was curious if you kind of saw the same. We had a very similar grade on him, so I was wondering what you had thought.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's very inconsistent. The things I took away from smooth, effortless velocity, clean throwing motion, great arm strength. He's very athletic, but he's not a danger to run the ball.
Right.
And to what you touched on, I don't like he's a smooth athlete, but him escaping the pocket wasn't the best. He can make plays outside of the pocket, but he's very inconsistent when it came to identifying the rush and escaping. I kind of did some comparisons while watching him. Like you throw him on film and you see like immediately he has a helmet on. You're like, is that Teddy Bridgewater? He's got that small body, big head. And then I saw a lot of Bryce Young, and like if you were to blend Bryce Young and Jordan Love into a player stylistically, I think that's what you would get out of.
And I think that's my comp was Jordan Love.
Yeah.
You know, I see some Jordan Love in him when he's playing.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't always put his players in the best positions.
Yeah.
And that's where I get a lot of Bryce Young out of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, if you're looking for the player with the arm strength in this draft and he just makes it look easy to throw the ball.
Yeah.
That's Dante.
I think, you know, you guys are hitting all the nails on the head, and I'm like, I keep looking back. I'm like, man, can they see my stuff too? You know, so that's really freaking cool. Look, Dante Moore. We'll get to the flaws in a second. But like, yeah, what the pros are, the velocity of the throw. I mean, when he throws the ball, it looks effortless. Like when I saw the way he was throwing and the type of throws he was doing when the pocket would break down around him, you know, off his back foot, it's like that's kind of ridiculous. You know, I was looking for reasons not to like him. I'm like, you know, but I kept coming. I go, damn, you know, and it's funny. You're all saying like, you know, different quarterbacks that kind of reminds you some of the stuff, but the one, the way he could make a play when the pocket breaks down, you know, a lot of it, you know, the names that came out at me were, I think, Coach, you mentioned Pat Mahomes. I think that's who you brought up. I was afraid to say his name because I want people to go, oh, you're saying he's Pat Mahomes? No one's saying he's Pat Mahomes. No. It's the way he can create a play when the pocket breaks down, the type of throws he can make. You know, what it kind of reminded me of when those type of plays were breaking down is what you saw from Cam Ward this year out of Tennessee. When he was playing in Tennessee, when the pocket would break, he would do some kind of weird pass and go, damn, how the hell did he do that? Yeah. That's kind of what I saw in Dante Moore. Caleb Williams is another guy that kind of jumped out at me when I saw the way, you know, you make these kind of crazy throws out of where, you know, no guy should be able to throw like that in that type of position, in that type of way. That's what I saw to Dante Moore. He could make plays out of nothing. And the arm strength, the ridiculous arm strength, when the pocket collapses, the instincts, the athleticism. Yeah, he's not a guy who's the fastest quarterback. He's not a runner. He's a gunner. You know, he could, like, if the pocket breaks down, he could make a play. And he's athletic. Again, and that's when you say when I saw him, there was times where I was like, that is that's when the pocket's breaking down, that type of throw and that type of form. That's like Pat Mahomes-esque. He could make something out of nothing, you know. So there was a lot of that sort of, but also that was something that I was like, I found flaws in, because like there was sometimes when I was watching, it was like, you didn't need to do that. You had time. It was like he went to try to escape the pocket when he didn't need to escape the pocket. You had time to scan the field and make a throw. There was times where he looked like he was coming out of it. Like this is a guy for sure. If you like his upside is right. You know what I mean? This is a guy, like, you got to work with him. You got to make sure you get him, and that he goes to the team in the right environment. Like, I know people are like, oh, you know, Jet. I think the Jets have the number 2 pick. And I'm not shitting on the Jets to shit, even though I happily do it. Can't stand the Jets. I'm not doing this to Russ, but I'm saying, like, you know, people are like, oh, go to the Jets. Like, this is a kid who absolutely needs to be in the right situation, because you want to make sure you build around him with good weapons, and, you know, and an offensive coaching staff who know, like, hey, he's going to need some polishing. There are some things he needs to work on, but there is some unnatural talent with this kid. There's some stuff with this kid that you can't teach. That arm strength, the velocity of those throws, how easy it was to get it in the breadbasket of a guy where it's like, how the hell did he get it there? Especially the way he threw it. It wasn't like some picture perfect footwork and everything. Like, there was a lot I like about Dante Moore, but you don't draft him because, you know, they'll say, oh, he's not ready yet. Oh, he's this or that. No, he's not he's not polished. He's not the perfect prospect, but you don't draft him because he's the perfect prospect. You draft him off the upside, you know, of what he can be, not this season, but 3 seasons down the line. You're like, holy crap, how the hell did they get that kid? You know what I mean? I saw, when I looked, I was like, you know, because when I looked, I saw what you saw, Josh. I was like, like you said, Teddy Bridgewater, big helmet, big head, you know, but then when you're watching the film, you're like, damn. Okay. crap.
But you say, yeah, I was about to say, you say like, man, that's a nice throw, and then you want him to follow it up with something, and then he breaks down and takes a sack right in front of his face.
Let's see here. I just want to very quick. Right now, multiple Dolphins GM candidates have not been told if McDaniel. Per source with direct knowledge, multiple Dolphin GM candidates have not been told if McDaniel is returning. Evan, where are you seeing that, my man? Just want to know. I trust what you're saying.
He's making that shit up. He likes to be popular.
Rap Sheet came out and said he's expected to return as head coach in 2026.
Yeah, I know that Rap Sheet, but Adam Schefter was saying a couple days ago that it's 50-50. So I was like, I just want to know who's saying that. But anyway, Anthony Manzano, great to see you there. Great. Welcome back. Coach Dante needs to go back to college. He doesn't have enough reps to justify him going to the pros. He has way too many inconsistencies right now. Coach, you want to respond to that very quick?
I mean, I watched the film and I didn't see a whole lot of inconsistencies. I mean, yeah, he makes some questionable throws sometimes, but I mean, what quarterback doesn't, especially getting drafted? Like, I mean, if he wants to go back to college to not have to go play for the Jets, I get that. But
did Anthony call me Aunt Josh? Did I get called Aunt Josh?
No, I don't know. Did he? I didn't see that.
I'm Aunt Josh.
He said he did. He did include you in it, though. Oh, Barry Jackson. Okay. So Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald says that general manager candidates have not been told McDaniel's going to come back. Okay. Well, there you go. That's good news. That's cool.
Yeah.
And
Stanza said, this is what they said about Anthony Richardson. He is not Anthony Richardson. It was
no, he's not.
Evident.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Yeah.
God, I hate
Josh has a big beard. But let's go on to our next guy, a guy that Anthony says is another guy that should go back to school, which is Ty Simpson, and that is all you, Josh.
Yeah, disclaimer: I haven't scouted the last game that he played in. Didn't watch it, to be honest with you, but I did watch 3 to 4 games of his this year at Alabama. And what I came away with is Simpson profiles as a well-sized athletic quarterback with a very good arm strength and accuracy, whose mechanics and movement clearly reflect a baseball player background. His lower half throwing motion is like a pitcher or like a shortstop when you watch him throw, with an aggressive hip rotation and a strong drive off the back foot, often finishing with the back foot coming forward. From a stable platform in the pocket, this creates efficient power and velocity. However, the same baseball style sequence can look awkward when he's throwing in motion, particularly when his base is kind of disrupted. It looks like he loses a little bit off his throws. While I don't think this is a flaw, it is a trait that shows up consistently on tape. But he is a very good operating within the pocket, shows patience and balance, and has the athleticism to leave the pocket and throw on the run when needed. His escapability stands out. Simpson shows elite ability to evade pressure, reset, and then continue to play without losing throwing posture. Receivers drops are prevalent on tape as well and have impacted his production, but he consistently delivers accurate and coachable or catchable footballs. Again, athletically, Simpson is a high-end mover, blending his comfort within the pocket and natural escapability. His movement skills do not compromise his accuracy, and he remains controlled when resetting after evasion. He is not chaotic with his athleticism and uses it as an extension of his game rather than a replacement for structure. From a defensive processing standpoint, Simpson is viewed as mentally capable, but still developing as a full field reader. He shows understanding of pre-snap structure and executes defined reads cleanly. The growth area is processing speed and anticipation, particularly versus post-snap rotation at times. He leans on athleticism to gain clarity rather than trusting early diagnosis. This is considered developmental rather than a football intelligence concern. So with that, Simpson is just best described as a baseball player quarterback with NFL arm talent, elite escapability, and a strong pocket comfort. His upside is tied to improving anticipation, and that's married to his natural throwing mechanics and quicker decision-making. I really liked I felt like he's getting a bad rap right now. I really like Simpson. I think he's going to be a really, really good quarterback. I went a little afraid into watching him because of Mac Jones, and I really liked what Mac Jones had, but this guy's different. I really liked Mac Jones intangibles. I really liked his ability, Simpson's ability to play quarterback.
I want to say but first off, before I say anything, and hopefully I don't forget because my brain. But right here, where do you see him being drafted at this moment? Because we still have a long way to go. But
I've graded him first round.
Okay, there you go. So I will say, I love that you said that. Here's what I'll say about Ty Simpson. Because I told you again, if it's a pick 11, if you're Dolphins, he's there at 11. I don't know how comfortable I'd be taking him at 11. That's what I'm gonna say right there. I'm not there yet. Second round, third round, if he is there, hey, do it. I don't care about Alabama quarterback. Oh no, I'm more Alabama quarterback. Stop it. There's two different things. But what you just said about Mac Jones, I remember because we were doing that then. We were doing this then.
Yep.
The reason why I say you take Mac Jones at that time because he's the safest quarterback on the board. You would take him at that point. He play pro style offense. If you want a guy plug and play, that Mac Jones was your guy. That's what I think Ty Simpson is. He's not the most impressive guy. He's not going to blow you away for any one reason at all. There's sometimes where I was watching him, like I told you, I was kind of like, I don't see that. I don't see that.
One thing I really look at for quarterbacks is their ability within the pocket and how comfortable they are with pressure coming to them and escaping that pressure. He's on the next level for that, and I really like him.
And that's fair. Again, if you're a team, like, again, and you know what, he might be a great option for Miami, later on, because if you want a guy who, is not that you're not really gonna have to really develop too much, the guy that you plug and play, he's smart, he's intelligent, he plays a little bit more like a veteran type guy. He's not impressive, he's not gonna beat you. He's like Ty Simpson is that guy. He's a guy that he's not really like he doesn't have that Dante Moore ceiling. He's a guy that you can put him in at starter, and you're gonna be like, damn, this guy looks like he's played for a couple of years already.
Yeah, and
he's
the one negative that everyone had for Alabama quarterbacks. Well, look at the offensive line that they played behind. He did not play behind an Alabama offensive line. Yeah,
it's not the talent around him at all.
Yeah,
and I will give credit to our friend on Georgia, the Fins Faithful podcast. He was the one who started throwing Ty Simpson's name out there, kind of got me watching him a little more, because he was like, oh, I don't know how he feels now because things change. This was midseason. He really, but he was one that I started, and I was like, and I watched him, and I was like, he's safe. I like him. He's safe. He didn't play too good last game, but I think he got hurt. That's why he got benched. They put in the other guy. I think that's what happened at the end. But when I watched him, it didn't look good. But again, I think that's more Alabama than it was Ty Simpson, because I think he's a safe prospect. But any thoughts on Ty Simpson at all, Coach, from what you've seen? I don't think you've watched too much film on him.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch much. I did watch him in the bowl game, and the rumor is that he took himself out. Is that a red flag?
That's what I
heard. Just him being like legit, like I can't make the throws and I'm harming the team.
Yeah.
Right. You just put
he said he had no strength in his arm.
Yeah.
And he said the next guy up was going to put the team in a better position to win.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And a lot of people can look at that as negative. There's quarterbacks that did that, and he's playing quarterback for the Colts right now. And people seem to forget that he used to do that.
Josh, you have a question for Manzano. You're not sure if you agree with this comparison, but he has Prescott as a comparison for Simpson right now. I'm not big into comparisons, but
yeah, I mean, I didn't really see Prescott when I watched him. There's not like a player that stood out to me too much when watching him. But if we're talking like college to college, Prescott they're two different prospects. This guy's more ready today than what Dak was coming out.
Yeah. From what I saw, I definitely feel like he's, I do feel like he's first round material, and he kind of what I saw, throughout the season, and him having come from behind victories against Georgia, I think, didn't it? And some of those other games, like he had a rough start against Florida State, but I think bounced back and kind of, Josh, like you had mentioned before the podcast started, was he kind of elevated the people around him and not so much they elevated him. Right.
Yeah. And it was more so like he would throw dots to people and he probably missed 5 or 6 deep passes that would have been touchdowns because people literally dropped the ball.
Right.
He would throw it 10 yards down to their chest. They dropped the ball.
Right.
It's like the players around him did not help him. And if they would have, we could be talking. I think he had like a 67% completion percentage. We're probably looking at more of a 72% completion percentage if players actually caught balls that they should have.
Yeah.
What kind of Alabama are we talking about at that point?
Yeah. I'm definitely going to check him out and do some film watch on him. I didn't get a chance to watch him the last couple of days, so I definitely need to put in the work.
He's not too mobile. He's not. He could move around the pocket, but he's not. Dante Moore or any of those other guys. He's pretty heavy-footed, kind of. Right, Josh? Would you agree with that?
I think he's
not too bad. He can move around.
He can move around. He can make plays with his feet, but I don't think he's going to be someone that lights the world on fire when
yeah.
But enough speed to be able to, it was 3rd and 2 and he can move around the pocket and break out and get a first down. Bobby with
Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana, 6'5", 225, 22 years old. My goodness. What a year this kid has had, man. What a freaking year. Heisman Trophy winner, Davey O'Brien Award, Maxwell Award, Walter Camp Award. If you are a team that needs in a draft that doesn't have a lot of franchise type quarterbacks, game changers, but if you really want a franchise quarterback, he's the best you're going to get out of this draft. Yeah. Not just on the field, but just character wise. You listen to his press conferences, his interviews after the game. You can't come away not impressed with this kid. Mendoza checks every box you look for in a modern NFL franchise quarterback. Live arm, could push the ball vertically, consistently creates explosive plays both within and outside of the hash marks. He's not just mobile, he's functional and dangerous with his legs, capable of making linebackers miss, extending plays, and punishing defense that lose discipline. He's tough, competitive, and will stand in the pocket and take the hits to finish throws. He also brings a team-first mentality as a willing blocker. That's one thing I loved when I was watching film. This guy, he doesn't, when you see that running, there was a play where I saw where a running back was making a play, and this is not a guy who's just jogging. He is running to make the play and make the block, which speaks directly to his character and his makeup and a team-first type of guy. From a production and decision-making standpoint, Mendoza is as clean as it gets. He has a career 68.1% passer rating with a nearly 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, 63 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, has thrown multiple interceptions in a game, in only a game once over the last 2 seasons. He's done that once in the last 2 seasons. He protects the football, understands situational football, and doesn't put his offense in bad positions. That's not coachable. That's instinct and discipline. Physically, as my thing messes up. Physically, he's exactly what you draw up at a position. 6'5", 225, prototypical size with NFL arm talent, velocity to drive the ball, touch to lower layer throws, and accuracy at all 3 levels. He throws with anticipation, consistently hitting receivers in windows before they break, and pre and post snap recognition reflects a quarterback who started 33 games in 2 different offensive systems and he processes quickly and plays fast mentally. He's also an underrated athlete, which I pointed out earlier. Mendoza is accurate on move and isn't afraid to run when needed, totaling 10 rushing touchdowns in his career. Defenses have to account for him as a runner, which adds to another dimension to the offense. Some developmental notes, though, is that he has limited experience under center, as most of his reps have come from the shotgun, a transition that should not be an issue given his intelligence, mechanics, and adaptability. Can hold on the ball a little too long, looking to make that big play instead of dumping it off to the easy receiver or to the running back, which can kill an offensive drive. can get feet happy when his first read is taken away, which can force him to make a questionable throw here and there. Bottom line, though, Mendoza has the size, the arm talent, the accuracy, decision-making, athleticism, and leadership you build an organization around. He's a tone setter, a locker room leader, and a quarterback you win because of, not one you win in spite of. This is a franchise quarterback with immediate starting ability and long-term upside. Should be QB1 on the board for everybody. And if you're picking at the top of the draft and you need a quarterback like the Raiders, this is a player you turn in the card for without hesitation. In regards to Dolphin fans, if Miami had that opportunity, I don't give a crap about 2027. If he's there, you grab him. He raised in Miami, Cuban grandparents, Heisman Trophy winner, Dolphins fan, leader in and out, off the field, on the field. This is the guy that if he's there at number 1, you have that pick, you can get him, you go get him. Loved everything about Fernando Mendoza. Coach.
That shot that he took in the Big Ten championship game in Ohio against Ohio State, his very first drive, I was like, oh shit, he's done. And he was slow to get up and then popped right back up and just played lights out. I mean, he can take a licking and get back up. I'm originally from Indiana. I've been waiting for IU to be relevant, so it has been a complete honor to watch this kid play football. I watched a lot of IU games this year. I was high on him coming out. I think he came over from Cal, and I had heard some things about him, but I was curious how he was going to play in Cignetti's offense, and he came over and won the Heisman Trophy, which hasn't really ever happened at IU. So it's a cool story. The people in Indiana are going crazy right now.
Oh, I bet.
They should.
This kid is a baller. He's a winner. He elevates everybody else around him. If there were any way possible for Miami to be able to go to 1 and get him, like that's definitely somebody that you want to have. But I don't think Tom Brady's going to be dumb enough to pass on him.
Josh?
Yeah, I think Arch Manning could have had a good season this year. He would have been the number 1 overall pick. Mendoza. Yeah. Mendoza reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan. He's willing to stay in the pocket. He'll take a hit and deliver the ball. It's hard to give a negative on this guy. He's the real deal. And like you mentioned, he's a leader.
He checks all the boxes, man.
Yeah. Like Raiders.
And he doesn't have stellar wide receivers that he's throwing to.
No, he doesn't.
No. Like, the guys that, and Surratt's probably the only one that, he's probably a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick at wide receiver. I don't think anybody else is. And
just to answer Duke's question quick, Josh, before you continue, who do you say has a stronger arm? I'll just answer like this: what arm I would prefer more? I would prefer Mendoza's arm over Moore, and I like Moore's arm more. Again, Moore, a lot of his throws are like, how the hell did he do that? Again, if again, I'd prefer Mendoza over Moore if I had to pick between the both of them. But if you're sitting at number 2, or if Moore falls to you, you're okay. You get a guy with high upside. But if you want a guy on day 1 who's going to impact your football team, that's Fernando Mendoza. You're not, he's still going to get better. He has a good ceiling, but this is a guy who can come in day 1 and change your franchise around on and off. You're not questioning his press conferences like you did again. And I'm not trying to knock on Tua, but this year you were. Every press conference after the game, you're like, what the hell did he say? What the hell was that? That's not what you're getting Mendoza. Mendoza's not pointing the fingers at anybody but himself. And he always praising other guys. He's like, man, I got to get better here, but man, this guy did really good. This guy did great. I that's one thing that really stood out to me, besides just what you saw in film, is what you saw after the game, the way he carried himself.
Or for me, the thing, an O-line guy that just blew me out of the water was after he won the Heisman, and all of his offensive linemen were there to greet him after the Heisman ceremony to congratulate him. Like, that says a lot to me about you've got a quarter. How many other quarterbacks have won the Heisman and have their offensive line show up and love him up because he just won the Heisman.
and then celebrate his center after the center won the MVP of the Rose Bowl.
Yes. And it was funny because like all the IU guys pointed at Mendoza thinking that he was going to be the offensive MVP. And it was Pat Coogan which coincidentally played at Notre Dame last year for the national championship. And then, he wasn't going to be a starter this year at Notre Dame. And so he transferred to IU and has done amazing things there. So yeah, he's a good guy,
I will
man.
Say, the Raiders, I know they had a bad year this year. They did fire Pete Carroll. They're doing the interview process right now for a new coach. Tom Brady is all involved. I'll tell you, as much as I'd love to see Mendoza in Miami, and I think it'd be great for Miami and Mendoza himself, and I think he would love it. The Raiders is not a bad spot for him. You got Ashton Genty already there. We'll see what they do at receiver. We'll see. But again, and number one quarterback in this class, it's Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah,
I think we all agree that, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, we'll just have to wait and see, man. This is gonna be a fun off season for the Dolphins, for the fans, just to kind of see how this all plays out. Again, Evan putting out there what Barry Jackson has said too, that a lot of these candidates who are being called for interviews have not been told that Mike McDaniel is returning. They have not been told that. Again, something that stands out to me, that Stephen Ross has not come out and said that McDaniel is for sure coming back. He did that last year after the game. The Dolphins got eliminated from contention and they were out. He came we were on post-game show talking about, hey, should there be a change? And that was nailed in the butt right away. And they, no, he's coming back. That has not happened yet. So even though signs are pointing that he could be back, more than likely he's back, it's not confirmed. So very interesting to see. And with a new GM, McDaniel or not, how aggressive will that GM be? Will that GM think like Daniel and says, hey, we're going to wait until 2027. We're going to go with that offensive lineman maybe at pick 11. Is that Spencer Fano or Francis Maragoa or one of those guys? Do we go that route? Or do we go Caleb Downs if he's sitting there out of Ohio State, or McCoy out of Tennessee, the corner, or Ruben Bain if somehow, some way he slips to the 11? Do we do that with a new GM, or does a GM get aggressive and say, no, Mendoza's our guy? Let me call the Raiders. We're going to give up everything and its mother to the Raiders to go get that quarterback. It's going to be very interesting, intriguing to see, and we are going to be here for all of it. Josh, Coach, myself, each and every week. We're going to be live. Our episode 2 may be a little delayed, because Josh is going to go on vacation, do some things. And once he's back, we'll be back live with another show, recapping the new GM. If that happens, coach, whatever, of course, OTC will be live, but FTSN will continue. Finn's Talk Today will be back. Sammy and I, I'm excited that we're going to get that ball rolling. Evan and Brett and Greg will be doing overtime, but be a branch off OTC with their own takes on the draft. So make sure, everything Miami Dolphins, everything Finn's Talk Draft, the NFL Draft, like and subscribe to FTSN. We've got you covered. I'm just excited about the work we've been putting in, and the work we're going to be able to present to all you guys, and this journey we're going to take together to find out what the hell Miami's going to do. And I would not rather do it with anybody else. Sure. Coach, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
It was a good opening show, man. I enjoyed it. The process is here now. This is our Christmas.
That's right.
A long process. I love it, man. I love everything about it.
Absolutely. That's right. DSG Dolphins running wild on FTSN, brother. Josh, final thoughts, my man.
I'm excited to see what the Miami front office shapes up to be, because then we can finally, this is what it might look like when it comes to drafting, what it might look like to free agency, and kind of put some things together. But I'm excited to kind of like get through these players, find our favorite ones, find the players that are no one's talking about, and then also to kind of figure out who the Dolphins are going to take, because my Cowboys are right after you guys.
That's right. There you go.
Did you know the Cowboys have the longest tenured general manager since 1989. How do you feel about that?
I thought it was
Josh?
Chris Greer. Nope.
How do you feel about that, Josh?
He's been the GM since I've been alive.
There you go.
So
it will be a very weird day when he's not. I'll say that.
Yeah.
As much as everyone hate on Jay Jones, it'd be weird. But anyway, guys, everyone, thank you all for tuning in. This is episode 1 of OTC on the Clock, the Finstock Draft Show. That's Josh Wingate, Coach Vogel, Bobby Finstock. We appreciate you all tuning in. Like and subscribe. Dolphin fans, most importantly, fins up.
go Cowboys.